By the year 1205, in the territories of Mongolia, the five main tribal confederations are for the first time united as one people under one leader. Through the use of brutal warfare and sharp diplomacy, a ruler known by the name of Temujin has successfully vanquished all opposition in his lands and has brought together the majority of people of the Naiman, Kerite, Mongol, Merkit and Tatar tribes. To signal the end of the infighting, Temujin orders the execution of his last rival Jamuka following their battle at the foot of Mount Naku in Mongolia's eastern Altai mountains. As a former friend, later turned rival in the fight for supremacy of Mongolia, Temujin upon request grants Jamuka a noble death without the spilling of any blood and thus ascends to become the universal ruler of all of the five main tribes. Following his ascension, a new title is bestowed upon Temujin for his success in uniting Mongolia, a name which will send shockwaves throughout the Eurasian continent in the coming years for its association with terror, warfare and conquest. In today's video, we're going to be exploring the early campaigns of a man who, following the unification of his people, would go on to become the world's greatest conqueror and oversee an empire stretching from the Korean Peninsula to the edges of Eastern Europe. This is the story of Genghis Khan, the man who shook the world to its core. Bordering the unified lands of Mongolia was the Tangut Empire, in an area occupying what is today northern China's Ningxia region. The Tanguts were an ethnic group who had previously had some contacts with the tribal confederations of Mongolia, notably the Kerites. In the year 1203, Temujin had defeated a rival by the name of Togril, who had been the ruler of the Kerite tribe. Under Togril, the Kerites had previously been closely linked to the Tanguts with their connections of cross-border trade, and in some cases deposed Kerite leaders were safely harboured in the land of their northern Chinese allies. After the death of Togril, his son named Nilga Sengum fled across to the Tangut territory with a small party of loyal followers to escape Temujin's growing power. However, he was later expelled for raiding local villages in his allies' lands. Despite mounting pressure from growing Mongol influence, the Tanguts still maintained a close relationship with the Kerite tribes, and by the year 1205, Temujin, now known by his more famous title, was growing deeply impatient. Using the harbouring of his rival Nilga Sengum as an excuse for further action, Genghis Khan launched his first raids against the Tanguts in 1206, which was to be the first instance of Mongol warfare taking place outside of their native lands. These raids against the Tanguts saw initial success for the Mongols as several local nobles defected to Genghis Khan's side. One such raid on the city of Ganzhou saw the Mongols capture the prominent son of the city's commander, to which he was given the new title of Chagan, and eventually rose through the ranks to become one of the Khan's personal guards. The Mongols continued to raid mostly along the border for the next few years, gaining more influence and power with each successive strike on towns and villages. However, while the raids were an important step to bolster supplies and resources, Genghis Khan had far greater ambitions in mind than simply just attacks on border settlements, for he saw that the kingdom was weak and therefore was soon ripe for a full-scale invasion. While the Mongols were raiding along the border of the Tangut Empire, also known as the Western Xia, political turmoil and infighting had engulfed the northern Chinese land. In a sudden coup d'etat, the ruling emperor was deposed and killed by Li Anquan, who was more sympathetic to the Mongols and had ambitions to ally with Genghis Khan for the purpose of a joint Tangut-Mongol attack on a neighbouring Chinese kingdom known as the Jin dynasty. While Genghis Khan saw this as a positive step towards the Mongol-Tangut relationship in the long run, his eyes were fixed on domination and ultimately saw the Tangut Empire as simply an area to conquer and keep as a vassal state rather than to form an alliance with. In the year 1210, and following years of raiding along the Tangut Empire's border, Genghis Khan and the Mongol army finally launched their long-awaited full-scale invasion of the northern Chinese territory. The ruling leader Lian Quan, now known as Emperor Changzhong, requested immediate aid from the neighbouring Jin dynasty due to his failure to ally with the Mongols previously, and also to stop the border raiding of the preceding years. However, a quote from the Jin Emperor Wanyan Yongji laid clear the situation for the Tangut Empire. "It is to our advantage when our enemies attack each other, wherein lies the danger to us." With the Tangut land left alone in the face of the new Mongol threat, Genghis Khan's armies captured the city of Wulahai, which would be their first major success in the campaign, and from here would go on to conquer more and more towns and cities along the path to the capital of Xinqing. Following a 2-month siege of the strategic fortress of Kiemen by the Helan Mountains, Genghis Khan destroyed the last major Tangut defences en route to the capital. The newly captured fortress guarded the only through path towards Xinqing, and now that it was in Mongol hands, largely meant an open road before Genghis Khan would face his biggest battle in the campaign thus far. With around 150,000 Tangut soldiers stationed at the capital, the last hurdle in the Mongols' path to conquest would no doubt be a hard-fought one. For more than 5 months between the spring, summer and autumn of 1210, the Mongols made various attempts to take the capital but were unsuccessful. Having not fine-tuned the art of siege warfare at this stage in their conquest, Genghis Khan's frustration mounted as the lightning-fast progress that his armies had previously enjoyed now had seemingly evaporated at the final part of the campaign. As time continued to pass, the Mongols made an attempt to divert the flow of a nearby river in the hope of flooding the city, but without fate on their side, this plan led to complete disaster for Genghis Khan, as the torrents of water ended up destroying most of the Mongol encampments before reaching Xinqing. As luck would have it though, the amount of flooding caused the widespread destruction of crops and livestock, and thus severely limited provisions for the Tangut army inside the city walls. While the Mongols on the one hand had destroyed their own camp trying to break the siege of the capital, on the other hand, with a strange bit of luck on their side, they had also delivered a striking blow to their enemy in the form of a famine that now started to affect the city. With the vast majority of the crops destroyed in and around the capital as well as the kingdom as a whole, the emperor was left with no other choice but to surrender to the Mongols, delivering Genghis Khan total control over the Tangut Empire. For the next 23 years, the land of the Western Xia remained as a vassal state for the Mongols to further their conquest into neighbouring Jin dynasty that was more powerful and wealthy, and later into the Central Asian land of the Korean Empire. Both of these conquests were absolutely brutal in their execution, especially the latter, in which Genghis Khan's armies completely annihilated every major city and town across Khwarezmia, leading to the deaths of millions upon millions of people. For the majority of the 23 years of the Tangut Empire's time under Mongol occupation, the conquered land remained subservient and provided resources, wealth and soldiers to the Khan's various campaigns. However, during the Mongol invasion of the Khwarezmian Empire, the Tanguts refused to supply any more troops to the cause. The new puppet ruler, known as Emperor Shenzong, decreed that if the Mongols were unable to fight the war themselves, then they could not be viewed as their supreme rulers any longer. This statement undoubtedly infuriated Genghis Khan, and with his eyes set on Khwarezmia for now, the Mongol leader swore a vengeance on the Tanguts to wipe their kingdom from the face of the earth in the near future. After the destruction of the Khwarezmian Empire between the years 1219 and 1222, Genghis Khan turned his armies back towards China and prepared to unleash hell upon the people of the Western Xia. With his atrocities and destructions well recorded by now, the Tangut people were about to feel the full wrath of a man who had ended the lives of millions already across Central Asia. Be sure to stay tuned for the coming sequel to today's video, retelling the story of Genghis Khan's second invasion of the Tangut Empire, coming in the near future. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel for more historical content on the Mongols, as well as various other eras from the past. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.